Kelly spoke on the Colin Cowherd podcast, stating Miami will be this year's Texas.
A lot of people are going to sit there and say, well, it's Miami. We do this every year. You know, the same people that are saying that right now are the same people that said, well, why are we building up Texas? Texas hasn't done anything since 2009. Why are you continuing to say that they're going to be good this year? Because they were. On paper, Texas going into last year was great. Now it's about allowing it to come to fruition. Miami on paper is great. Now it's just about, can they take the next step as a program and not beat themselves?
The Miami Hurricanes and the Florida Gators will face off against each other for their season opener down in the Swamp in just 17 days. It's 90 degrees at 12 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies. Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
Hey, hey.
This is Helmets and Heels
On 1010XL, switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
Two sports-loving ladies for the time being. Mia O'Brien still at the Miller Electric Center, and some reporters just now tweeting out, Taylor, Mike Evans leaving joint practice with his helmet in his hand, walking off with athletic trainers. Now, that could be a heat thing. It may not be an actual injury thing. Yeah. We've seen this happen with other players like Breland Speaks earlier this week, and so it may not, like I said, it may not be an injury, but certainly if you're a Bucs fan, that is not good news.
A little bit, yeah,
for sure, until you get an update.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, even earlier when there was like little chatter of Christian Kirk not practicing, that was already having a little bit panic here. So imagine that, carrying a helmet off of the field during joint practices, and we've seen so many injuries so far this season when it comes to around the league in general. And some of them obviously worse than others, but you never want to see anybody injured at all. But this time of camp, it's really unfortunate because a lot of these times, I mean, Mike Evans is someone that they're highly counting on in their offense to being able to produce the way they did last season. So that is definitely something to keep an eye on as we go out through today, the rest of today.
To me, Mike Evans is a future Hall of Famer. And obviously the Bucs paid him. They wanted to retain him to be there with Baker Mayfield. And he's a guy that I was impressed with Tyson Campbell earlier when they were doing some red zone battles, because Tyson was able to have a couple passes defensed. And so that's great news when you're talking about going up against a guy who's as talented as he is. I obviously wasn't able to stay for the entire practice, but from what I saw, the Jaguars' offensive line is going to be a concern. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about it all offseason, the fact that Mitch Morse was really the only brand new guy. Ezra Cleveland certainly came in partway through last season when he was traded here from the Vikings. And is the offensive line going to be able to, A, protect Trevor Lawrence, and B, are they going to be able to help the run game? Mm-hmm. Those are the two, obviously, main things. Yeah. And so far through camp, we've seen, and certainly the limited amount we saw in the preseason game Saturday night with the first team, the passing game looks really good. Trevor Lawrence looked really good today. I saw a couple incompletions, one batted ball, but for the most part, that ball comes out of his hand, and obviously it is a laser. Yeah. And in the short passing game, that's when it's hard sometimes for running backs to catch the ball, whether it's Bigsby or ETN, because he fires it at them. It's such a fastball, but his passes downfield are just a beautiful thing to see. As I was walking away from the Miller Electric Center, I heard the crowd roar and then go, oh. And so I was like, oh, I knew something just happened. And so that was the play where Trevor overthrew BTJ. But then they were able to connect later, which is good news. But yeah, the passing game looks really good. The run game has been a concern. It was a concern all last year. They took it down to the studs, as Press Taylor said. But has it been fixed enough? And that's what I don't know that we'll necessarily learn that over these next 2 days. And the Bucs, Vita Vea is such a good inside defensive lineman, but that's going to be a concern. And I joined a Vegas radio station last week, and I was asked this question, which I'd never been asked before. What's going to be the thing that sabotages the Jaguars, if anything? If there's one thing that's going to sabotage this team, what is it? And I said the offensive line.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Yep, that would be my response. We were concerned about the secondary. I don't think there's nearly as many people concerned about the secondary to this point as the offensive line.
Yeah, and I don't know. We had the conversation a lot of the opposite, Tyson Campbell and Darius Williams leaving and all of that. I think aside from that, though, we were expecting Tyson Campbell to be back to what we've seen Tyson Campbell be. I'm a big fan of Andre Sisco. I think there's a lot of pieces out there that we you did like. You were just more concerned of what exactly it was going to look like across from him. But I think they did enough in the offseason to make it work, especially with the versatility of the guys that they brought in, Lauren. But as we were talking about this, Justin Barney this was probably about 25 minutes ago, says Jags O-line worries me. And someone comments on it and just says expand. And he said they weren't good last year. Not sure they're much better this season. I typed that after watching one-on-ones and seeing Javon Foster get annihilated on a pass pro and team drills. It's just concerning. And so this is a topic that we're going to be talking a ton about. And I think that last year I was in the offseason very critical of the offensive line. Other people, not so much. And then the season started and it actually looked like they were going to be okay. The biggest issue, I think, is that there's no continuity at all. And that's where the issues started to arise when you have multiple guys having to move around and play multiple positions because people can't stay healthy. That starts to bring on a lot of issues, no matter how versatile the guys in the middle. If they're having to play one position for 3 games and another position for 2 games, then move back to another one. And we're talking about Anton, who I think is a force. I think we're going to talk about Anton being really, really good in the NFL for a long time. But how many people does he have to play by? How many times does that position have to switch? Then also on the other side, Cam being there, Cam or Walker being there, whoever's there, how many people are they having to play by? When you just don't have that full-on continuity on the offensive line, it really starts to affect things. And so I think that is one of the biggest concerns, because not only do you hope that Mitch Morse is enough to fix that interior and kind of bring a little more protection when it comes to everything, when it comes to pass pro, when it comes to just Trevor in general staying on his feet is also something that you want to talk about. But in addition to that, I think just what that center position brings in general to bringing everybody together on the offensive line, is that enough? And I'm not totally sure of that answer yet.
Well, and Mitch Morse has a lot of experience in this league. We know that. Is he as powerful as he once was? That's what I think my question is now after watching him in the one-on-ones today against the Bucs. And yes, Anton Harrison, I think, is going to be a guy that is here for the long haul and will obviously he started his rookie season at right tackle. Whether he starts at right tackle for the longevity of his career or if he moves to left tackle, we'll see. I would expect a move to left tackle in the future, not this season, obviously. But yeah, I think he's a really good tackle. Cam Robinson is a solidified veteran, and I think they're good at the tackle spot. It's that interior where they struggled so much last year. And certainly to your point, Taylor, they've already had 3 different offensive line combinations since camp began a few weeks ago. 3 because of injuries to different players. And so today we finally did get to see what we saw day 1 as far as the starting offensive line. And Anton Harrison, like we said, had returned to practice. He had cleared the concussion protocol. And then Ezra Cleveland was back out there today, which is good. But can you be successful in the NFL if you can't run the football? Yeah. Yes, we know it's a passing league, but you've got to be able to get those 3rd and 3s, right? And that was obviously the massive issue last year. And I'm sure when Press Taylor meets with the media again, he'll be asked about this. Yeah. How did you evaluate your offensive line through the first practice with the Bucs, and then of course tomorrow as well?
And there's a couple things playing off of that, because when we go back to the preseason and you're seeing CJ Beathard and Mac Jones, when they're in, how different does that line look? And to me, it looked pretty different in moments, especially when Mac was in. The pressure up the middle was in 1 second when Mac Jones was in the game on Saturday. And to me, that's where some concerns come in, because there's been so many injury issues. So we're looking at guys that will have to play, possibly have to play if there's any injuries. So that's when you start getting a little concerned. And I know a couple weeks ago, I think it was Mia made the remark of, there's guys in the depth of the offensive line that other teams would take right now. I don't know about that. I think that other teams may look at the depth pieces on the offensive line and be like, I don't even know who any of those guys are. Why would we want them to come protect our quarterback? So not saying, I think there's building blocks, but I just don't think they're quite there yet. And then that falling into the run game. It's interesting to me, and I'm not trying to hit the panic button whatsoever, but just some comments I heard during Jaguars today, and then kind of what I've seen on Twitter and throughout camp. Tank looks great when we've talked about that. And he looked good in the game in moments. Every camp, I feel like we're coming out being like, oh, another big Tank run. Oh, Tank did this. But Etienne, not so much. And I feel like we've heard a little bit more negative surrounding what Etienne's been able to do. And I feel like that is this is your running back 1. So when do you start being like, is this just camp? Or are there any sort of concerns with Etienne? Because he also wasn't the same last year either. And I know he's dealing with injuries and there was other things. But I had this guy as my second running back in the AFC South, and it doesn't look like that right now.
I think Etienne is a guy that has good explosiveness. He just needs maybe to improve the vision a little bit is how I would describe it. And I do think that it all correlates back to the offensive line. As a running back, you need to know which guys are going to blow up the other guys, right? Blow up the offensive lineman or defensive lineman so you can have those holes. If that never happens, and once that line keeps changing, you don't know which path to go, which gap to run in, and then you tend to try and bounce it outside. Well, NFL defensive players are so fast they can get to that, whereas in college they couldn't. I don't have any concerns with Etienne to this point. I just think that you're hearing so much good about Tank Bigsby because of all the negative last year. Yeah. And Etienne certainly is a threat in the passing game too. We saw last year he had the third most catches on the team, which is crazy to think, but you do have to consider the fact that Christian Kirk was hurt and Zay Jones was hurt. But still, the third most catches on the team behind Ridley and Evan Ingram, that's kind of wild, but that's certainly how they want to utilize him too. And so I think what you're seeing is, like I said, it's not necessarily negative on ETN, but I think they're utilizing him in different ways. Yeah. And so you're going to see him maybe line up in a different spot than we've seen before, or they've done it a little bit, but maybe see that more often. I'm fascinated to see, once we do get to week 1, what is the role of Tank Bigsby? How many touches does he get? Is he more of the return guy alongside Devin Duvernay and Parker Washington, or do they get him some carries early in the game against the Dolphins? That's something that obviously we won't know until we get to the actual game, because they're not going to tell us that in
they're
advance.
Not going to be like, by the way, this is how each of them are going
exactly.
to
get
distributed.
Yeah, but that is going to be fun to watch. And since I mentioned Parker Washington, yet again, a great day for him. He is a guy that has worked so incredibly hard, and that's why guys around him are praising him, whether it's Doug Peterson, Press Taylor, Trevor Lawrence. But it's amazing to watch someone like him who last year, yes, injuries, but also just I think was a little overwhelmed with everything. Yeah. And now he's totally settled in, and it's great to see.
Yeah, I love it. And I think that happens when you see a player just all of a sudden be like, he looks comfortable now, and it almost looks like they're a different player. But the comfortability in the offense, the comfortability obviously with the person throwing you the ball is a massive thing. And so the more times they're getting thrown the ball, the more connections they have between those two, I think the more comfortable we're going to see from them. And like we did see those glimpses towards the end of last year. He was having to fill in for a lot of big roles, obviously with Christian Kirk being out. Zay Jones was banged up all season. There was a lot of things that Parker Washington had to make up for on his own very quickly. And so I think that probably threw things off a little bit, but it does look like I would be more confident this season if Parker had to step up into a little bit bigger role than I was last year.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. The Jaguars and Bucs have wrapped up practice. After practice, Josh Hines-Allen and Eric Armstead will meet with media. Eric Armstead did participate in the walkthrough, but not actually practice. He was just elevated or activated off of the PUP list, the physically unable to perform list yesterday. So that's good news for Eric. That's good news for Ryan Nielsen and his defense. And we'll get to a little bit of sound from Ryan. He met with reporters this morning and certainly talked all about the defense's performance in that preseason game against the Chiefs, and he was pretty excited about it. I think that was rightfully so because of the fact that the Jags did hold the Chiefs, albeit a lot of backups, but to just 13 points Saturday night. So we'll let you hear from Ryan Nielsen when we come back. Also, Taylor has a tangent. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Want more Jags? Subscribe to the 1010XL Jaguars YouTube channel. Looking for more in-depth coverage of the Gators? Subscribe to the 1010XL Gators YouTube channel. Need your FSU fix? Well, subscribe to the 1010XL Seminoles YouTube channel. Your favorite team, one specific location.
Bold City AC, keeping you cool.
Feeling the heat, Jacksonville? Cool down with Bold City Heating and Air. From repairs to energy-efficient installs, we do it all. Family-owned and trusted since 2016, we offer clear pricing, NATE-certified techs, and unbeatable service. Call Bold City Heating and Air today and experience the bold difference.
Bold City AC, keeping you cool. Bold City AC.
Visit boldcityac.com.
Lauren Brooks here from Mayport CNC Fisheries. At my house, we had a feast from Mayport CNC Fisheries with the freshest shrimp around, and it was unbelievable. They also have oysters, scallops, mahi, and so much more. Want to eat like a local? Head to the beach and visit my friends at Mayport CNC Fisheries.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
It's a Helmets and Heels Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday.
Before termites attack your home or business and cause costly damage, Terminix it. At Terminix, we know how to stop termites. These destructive pests have been around for millions of years, but before they show up, so do we. And their time is up. Don't live with a termite problem? Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. TERMINIX.com. Terminix it.
There are 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and if you stay in your home long enough, a new roof. Pick it here for our friends at Lockhart Roofing. Nobody better in Jacksonville. How do I know? They are a local certified Master Elite contractor, and that means they have a GAF Master Elite warranty. That's the best in the roofing industry. In this day and age, don't settle for cheaper discount roofers. Lockhart Roofing has been here for decades. They aren't going anywhere. Call my friends at Lockhart Roofing, 994-3851. That's 994-3851. Lockhart Roofing, Jacksonville's best for Jacksonville people.
Give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish. And he's listening to the Nimnicht Outdoors Show.
With tips and stories.
Presented by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning.
Every Saturday morning, 7 to 10.
On 1010XL.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Homeowners, good news for you. Accent on 4. Listen up. Loan Pronto now has mortgage rates that start with a 4. Prosser here. It's true. Mortgage rates have plummeted. So low, we haven't seen them in a long time. If your current rate is over 6%, you can dump it and lower your house payment big time. Loan Pronto just locked in a homeowner at 4.99% APR. So whether you got your loan last week, last month, or last year, it's time to call Loan Pronto. Even if you're in process with another lender, stop now. Call Loan Pronto. Ask about their zero-cost rate reduction home loan. You can lock in a lower rate with no closing costs in a matter of days, with almost no paperwork and usually no appraisal. And if you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call now. Loan Pronto can give you a rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call 904-999-1508 or loanpronto.com. Call 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. Owner approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
PRP treatment is kind of the thing these days, and in many cases, it eliminates the need for surgery. This is Sheridan Tootin, and my experience with PRP from Southeast Orthopedic Specialist has been nothing short of great. I'm really feeling much better now. Ask your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist doctor about PRP treatment.
This is Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, where athletes are treated like pros.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Little Post Malone, Blake Shelton for you on this Wednesday afternoon. Taylor Dahl is here. RJ Saunders is here. I'm Lauren Brooks. Mia O'Brien will join us when she returns from the Miller Electric Center. All right, Taylor. Ryan Nielsen met with media earlier today, and like I said, I think he was pretty juiced about the performance that his defense gave Saturday night. And I mentioned Eric Armstead activated off of the PUP list. How does Ryan Nielsen feel about getting Eric Armstead on the field?
Yeah, so he's been here since, he came here in the off season, and so we spent a lot of time together, just kind of in and out, have breakfast or lunch, you see him around the building. Awesome guy, football guy. He's a really good person, really into it, helps the players a lot. 10-year career, a lot of success, a couple of Super Bowls that he's gone to, and so you get that whole experience. It's invaluable. Looking forward to getting him back, get him through some walkthroughs and things like that. But he's been all locked in. Couldn't say enough good things about him, really.
My biggest thing with Eric Armstead is, where does he play?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. Is he technically only going to be on the inside? Is he going to play outside? Is he going to play both? That's what is going to be so much fun to
so
work.
it will be fun.
Yeah, and obviously Nielsen is a guy that's going to move people around.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling he's going to be moved around, like Trayvon Walker is going to be moved around as well.
I do think that with the way that the Jaguars have built things this offseason, it is going to be interesting to see how much of a rotation and who, because they're going to have higher snap counts, obviously, in certain places. But the interesting part to me is because of some of the additions. We obviously know what Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker can do, but because of Travis Gibson and some of these other guys that they have brought in, I feel like that edge position, if he feels more comfortable that, if Ryan Nielsen is like, look, we're getting the pressure from the outside, we majorly need help still on the inside, we'll see a ton of Eric on the inside. But if they're not getting that pass rush, if it's all Josh Hines-Allen and all Trayvon Walker again, we might see him float out a little bit more to the outside because he's going to want to see, those quarterbacks have to worry about the rush from each side. So it will be kind of interesting. I like the way, I don't know if we're going to play this clip, but he mentioned too about, when it's something we've talked about a lot, we say hands in the dirt, he said hands in the grass, but just that aspect and what that is going to bring to Trayvon Walker, because I do think it's something that was, since the day he was drafted, it's something we've talked about.
Yeah, we can absolutely play that. It's cut 6 RJ Trayvon Walker. This is Ryan Nielsen on Trayvon, has every skill set to succeed.
We'll tell you this, he has everything that you need in terms of a skill set to be a very successful player in this league. Tall, he's got great speed, he's twitchy, strong player. He gets out of trouble really well. He understands the game. We're playing him a little bit more hand in the grass, up the field type thing. I think that's going to help him, in terms of setting the edge of the defense and the run game, things like that. But I tell you this, credit to him. He works extremely hard. He's out there early, every little thing, and he's trying to do it exactly right. He's a perfectionist, which you really like. And then, he goes out there and he does everything you ask him to do. And then there's, you'll turn on the tape, he's like, wow, you didn't see that in practice, and you see it in the tape, and you're like, man, he made that play. And so there's that element to the player too. So, just being excited about him, just being around him every day.
You have to wonder, if Ryan Nielsen was in charge a few years ago, would he have taken Aiden Hutchinson or Trayvon Walker #1 overall? Listening to that this morning, and that's the second or third time I've heard it, because I love Ryan Nielsen's defense, and I love his personality and everything. But I think he would have taken Trayvon over Aiden because of the ceiling.
Yeah, it would be interesting to have. I don't know if he'd ever come out and say that honest to us. Maybe conversations, behind the scenes. But I do think that the one thing with Trayvon, and you kind of get this out of what Ryan Nielsen's saying there, is the IQ, the way he sees the field. And I do think that's a part of the beneficial part of Trayvon Walker and how he played so many spots at Georgia, because when you play all of these different positions on the defense, you can see the field at so many different angles. And yes, we want him to play one. We want him to be amazing, elite at one rather than good at a bunch. But I think his ability at Georgia and being able to do so many different things has helped him now be able to be the person that he is here in Jacksonville. And maybe it took a little bit of time because he is having to kind of hone in, focus on more of one job. And I think we are going to see that even more detail-oriented this year with Ryan Nielsen. But I do think that when you have somebody who has so many different strengths at so many different places on the defensive side of the ball, they're going to be able to tell you things that maybe you didn't even ever notice because, hey, I've played edge, I can be inside, I can be outside, I can put my hands in the dirt, I can stand up. Everything you need me to do, I'm able to do it. And Trayvon seems like it took a little time, but it's only going to get better and better because of the way he can see the field.
Yeah, and because of this scheme, too. This is really going to benefit him. Eric Armstead is meeting with the media right now. Gene Fournette tweeted this out. This is his quote, "I wouldn't have come here if there wasn't an opportunity to win a Super Bowl." So when guys who have actually played in Super Bowls, which is Eric Armstead, he's played in 2, when they say that, I don't think that that's just fluff. I don't think that they're saying that just to get people excited.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a guy who also played in a game where they absolutely dominated the Jaguars too, and he's still saying that.
Yeah, also true, yeah. 34-3.
He must have seen something in other moments or some of the other acquisitions that have happened, and obviously Ryan Nielsen, I truly think, is probably a large part of that Eric truly does believe that, because he is he's deeper into his career. He's probably to that point where he's like, I do want to win. I've been on a team that has won. I've been on a team that's been to the Super Bowl. I've been on the team that's won a bunch of playoff games and has winning records for years now. But if he's eyeing something, and like I said, against a team that he did see has its weaknesses and still wants to be here, there's definitely some positives out of that.
For sure. One more here from Ryan Nielsen, talking about the only guy on the depth chart that's listed at two different positions. That would be Chad Muma. And has he had a good camp?
Yeah, good. I think he's had a good camp, improved from the beginning of camp, made some plays the other night, which was really good to see. In the run game, and also, covering some guys and out in space. So that was really good. One of the things, we didn't rush Chad very much, but he provides some pass rush for us too, up the middle and also off the edge. Smart player, does a lot of jobs. Special teams, can play on the ball, stack back. So we're just continuing to get better with him, but he's doing a pretty good job.
I'm going to have to start using stack back in just my everyday language. All right, good stuff there from Ryan Nielsen. Yeah, Chad Muma has looked great. I think Devin Lloyd has looked great, and you knew Foye Oluokun was going to look really good. Ventrell Miller, I think, has been a bright spot, too, for that linebacking core. And so how Ryan Nielsen deploys all of those guys, I'm so excited for week one. Obviously, this preseason game Saturday night, it'll be probably more second-teamers. And then the third preseason game, we'll get to see some starters. But again, I don't think Ryan Nielsen's going to show everything when the Jags take on the Falcons in preseason game week 3. It's definitely going to be, at least for me, we're going to find way more out week 1 against the Dolphins.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I heard, I think it was primetime yesterday, talking about with Coach and how Chad Muma is in kind of multiple battles, I'm saying right now, because technically it's like Chad Muma, Devin Lloyd, but then also Chad Muma, Yasir Abdullah. But it looks like he's held his own on both ends, and I think when you're looking at the end of the day, having Foye, Devin Lloyd, and Chad Muma is the ideal situation because of the a little bit more experience, obviously, and the way they played together last year in the moments where you needed those three out on the field at one time. So I think that Chad Muma is one of those guys that we'll be talking about more and more throughout the season, but it will be interesting to see what Ryan Nielsen does with, I think more so Devin and Chad, because I think Foye is Foye, but those two, kind of what he does with those two, and then even behind him when it comes to a guy like Yasir Abdullah.
Absolutely. All right.
I did not say Amir Abdullah this time.
No, yes. Well done. You got it right. Yasir Abdullah. Yeah. He's a guy that on my 53 that we did initially, I don't think I had him making it. I'm probably will have him on my 53 when we do it again. All right. Taylor Dahl right now has a tangent.
Now, Taylor's Tangent, served up by Chick-fil-A on 1010XL.
This is something that stood out to me last night. Obviously, Hard Knocks dropped last night, the episode 2 for the Bears. It was very late. It was supposed to drop at 9, didn't end up dropping until like 10:30. HBO had some weird things going on. But one part of this episode really popped out to me, and it's something that I've never really thought of. But at one point, it was one of the analytical guys, research and development, Bears director of research and development, Harrison Freed, was going on, and he was talking to Caleb Williams in the room, and they had this, I guess I'll say PowerPoint. I don't know what program they use, but whatever. It was like a PowerPoint type thing up on a screen, and it was all of the refs that were going to be obviously part of the staff, part of the crew that was going to be at the Bills game. And so they're going through each of these, going through their names, where they're from, what their normal jobs are, all of these aspects of it. And they're in depth going through, kind of like quizzing Caleb, like, okay, who's this one? Where is he from? All of this. And that kind of popped out to me because I was like, I'm not surprised, because we see the quarterbacks that get along with the refs, and you feel like you see the ones that are like, man, he gets every call and like this and this. Usually it's the older one. Usually it's Aaron Rodgers that's getting the calls, or Tom Brady got some calls, or now it's getting into the Patrick Mahomes getting those calls. The ones that they want to see win games, I feel like, but also the ones that they've been around the most, I feel. So in this, they went into depth, and he was like, there's 17 different crews, so you're not going to see, some you'll see no times in a year, some you'll see 2, but within a year and a half, you'll see every crew at some point. And he pretty much was just saying, I'm just trying to find the exact quote from it, but he said, he advised Williams to create good relationships with the referees because he'll continue to see the same refs over the course of his NFL career. And that just was so interesting because it was something I've never thought about of them. Like, you're analyzing the game, obviously, as a football player. You're analyzing your players. And, okay, if for Caleb Williams. Keenan Allen, what's his most successful routes? And if I am throwing to this spot of the field, when is he the best at catching it? And what defenders is he best against? And all of those things that they're analyzing. But they're also analyzing which refs they're playing that week and what they call most. Are they, do they call a ton of holdings? Do they call a ton of false starts? All of these things. It's just so much information to take in. So no wonder these guys as rookies sometimes are just, their heads are spinning.
Yeah, that is fascinating, but it does make sense because especially like with a Jawan Taylor last year in the fall starting, some refs were probably put on alert to call that more.
Things, yeah.
And other refs were probably more like, he's not false starting. I've seen the, actual data and things like that. So you do have to know kind of which ones will be officiating your game. All right,
Speaking of that real quick, sorry, Jawan Taylor did leave Chiefs practice on a cart today too. I saw that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I haven't seen details yet, but about 50 minutes ago that was posted.
That is not good news if you're the Chiefs. They already had a little bit of a battle at left tackle as far as through training camp is concerned. All right, right now we have lunch with the ladies, right, Taylor?
Yeah, lunch on us. Lunch for 2 to Chick-fil-A. Give us a call at 641-1010. Caller number 3, lunch on us.
I love it. All right, we will get it to FSU football when we return. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
What makes a Honda certified pre-owned vehicle so special? 182-point inspection, 24/7 roadside assistance, first-year free oil changes, and a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty for carefree driving backed by American Honda. Visit your local Honda dealer today.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Hey, Jacksonville, Taylor Dahl here of Helmets and Heels. Are you looking for an easy way to feed your friends and family this summer? Let your local Chick-fil-A restaurant cater your next gathering. Choose from a variety of trays, including Chick-fil-A nugget trays, mac and cheese, and, of course, gallons of Chick-fil-A tea and lemonade, perfect for a get-together of any size. Place an order through the Chick-fil-A app online or by calling ahead and pick it up at your local Chick-fil-A restaurant, or get it delivered directly to your door. Enjoy more of the summer season with your loved ones when you take cooking off your plate with Chick-fil-A. See restaurant for details.
Oh, no. No. You okay in there?
Toilet's backed up. It won't flush.
Okay, I'll call the pros.
The tank isn't filling. The handle does nothing. Run for your life.
Don't be so dramatic. Duck Rooter will fix it.
For any plumbing issue, call Duck Rooter, your local plumbing professionals and proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. DuckDuckRooter.com.
When you're stuck, call the Duck. 904-862-6769.
Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday.
Helmets and Heels.
With deep pockets and huge resources, truck companies may think they can get away with a small settlement after an accident. But at Farah & Farah, our team isn't afraid to go toe-to-toe with them, to fight for every penny you're entitled to under the law. If you've been in a truck accident, call Farah & Farah. Put our big truck experience to work for you. Jacksonville.
Duval. Your Jaguars are back for another preseason matchup as we take on our neighbors to the west, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Meet us at the bank Saturday, August 17th for a 7:30 p.m. kickoff. This is your last chance to see the Jags before the regular season kicks off. So lock in your tickets today by calling 904-633-2000 or online at jaguars.com/tickets.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On August 14, 2016, Jamaican sprint star Usain Bolt wins a 100-meter gold medal at the Rio Olympics, becoming the first man to win the event 3 times.
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance painting.
Yo, it's your boy E to the T. And are you ready for the ultimate college football season? Using MyBookie Sportsbook and casino platform, you can bet on every game and win anytime, anywhere, straight from your mobile device. No app needed. Just sign up at MyBookie.com and you're ready to rock. Whether you're rooting for your alma mater or your favorite team, there's no better way to experience this season than having action on the game. And when you know your team well, it's an easy way to take advantage of procs like team win totals and early picks for playoff contention. Last year, MyBookie had some of the best odds on the market for the Wolverines to win the championship. And Michigan bettors who backed their squad saw 10 times the return on their wager. Lock your futures in now while you're waiting for the season to begin and use promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus up to $1,000. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Come on, somebody.
Hey gang, Hicken here for Zero Res. Man, it is hot outside this time of the year. Many of us are staying inside or going to the pool. Well, my friends at Zero Res are also heating things up. As you know, Zero Res does a great job of cleaning carpets and rugs, but they also clean luxury vinyl planking, tile and grout, fine stone and hardwood floors. And right now, the hottest price of the year, 25% off all hardwood cleaning. That's 25% off tile, LVP, fine stone, and hardwood floors. Zero Res, man. Spell it forward. Zero Res, spell it back. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. You know, pool design has come a long way, and if your pool is outdated, Stanley Pools specializes in bringing older pools up to date for the whole family to enjoy. That's why I did it a few years ago, and man, I love the way my pool looks now after we added travertine pavers and so much else. Stanley Pools has been serving our community since 1988, so call them today at 269-7277 or find them online at StanleyPoolsFL.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
Need or want cash? Beach's Jewelry and Pawn has cash available. Ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. They need it all, selling or pawning. Get cash on the spot at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
This is Dr. Kevin Kaplan, head team physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jags, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Veteran safety Tashawn Gibson recently rejoined the Jaguars after 5 years. Gibson shared with the media how he feels his playoff experience will help the team.
It's huge. I think that it is huge. I look back at the time when myself, when I was a young guy here and we had that push in 2017, they brought guys in like Calais Campbell, and you think about those guys was huge for this team. Those guys, you bring in guys like Calais and guys like Malik who had that playoff experience, man, and that was huge for us, man. We was young guys. I was the oldest guy in the room at 25 years old at the time. So, looking back on that, just the knowledge of the game.
Gibson signed a one-year deal with the team and is excited for his return. Sound courtesy of Jaguars.com. I'm Molly McDonald with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is switched on by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor on 1010XL.
Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Mia O'Brien will be along shortly. Florida State fans who have heard this Paul Feinbaum clip, I'm sure, are sick and tired of A, hearing it, and B, they're sick and tired of people making fun of the fact that they didn't make the playoffs last year. So without further ado, I'll let you hear directly from Paul Feinbaum, who is a noted Alabama, I would say, fan, even if he would never say that. I feel like he's pro-Alabama. But here are his comments on when he was asked which team does not belong in the top 10. FSU's ranked 10th. Here's Feinbaum on what he thinks of the Seminoles.
Florida State. First of all, they have no business being in the top 10. They have a difficult schedule. Miami and Notre Dame within a 3-week period on the road. They end the season with Florida, which is a debatable team. But I think they're going to get caught in the run-of-the-mill ACC game this year, which they did not encounter last year. They lost the guts of their defense. They have a quarterback who has certainly been around and remains a question mark. And I think they also have a hangover. I think they used up too many tears crying about not getting in the playoffs, and that may slow them down a little bit this year.
If I was a Florida State fan, I would be livid about that second part. Now, the first part, I understand where he's going with it because a lot of people do have questions about DJ Uiagalelei and his accuracy and the fact that he turns it over a lot. But there's still some really talented players that play for the Florida State Seminoles. I saw them in person last week at the Flex Field. They're an imposing group along the offensive line and defensive line. They've got some great skill players that they've brought in from the transfer portal. Mike Norvell knows what he's doing. And the second part of that, as far as the tiers from not making the college football playoff, like I said to start, Taylor, I think he's an Alabama fan, which is why he was thrilled that Alabama got in over Florida State.
Oh, for sure.
Florida State 100% deserved to be in the playoff. Even without Jordan Travis, they still deserved a shot because their defense was so good.
It's one of the things that bothers me the most. I do not mind if people have their opinion on whatever it may be. So, like you said, the start of this of, hey, I don't think because of DJU and all of these other things that maybe factor in, although every single person I've talked to, Matt Hayes said the same thing yesterday when we were doing our 2-minute drill, but then also every other college person I've talked to about this have been like, their defense, I think, will be number one, good enough to where DJU doesn't have to be perfect. He just can't make a ton of mistakes. And number two, their trenches are so good that it's going to give DJ time to throw, time to think, time to process, which maybe in previous stops he didn't have that. And then number two, on the other side of the ball, when you are forcing turnovers and when you're forcing 3 and outs and when you're getting big stops in the red zone or they're not even getting to the red zone, those things help your offense so much. And that's what a lot of people maybe are relying on when it comes to Florida State. And so if you want to say whatever you want to say about DJU and not having maybe the quarterback that they can trust on, that's one thing. But when you start saying something about the tiers of fans or the tiers of the players or the coaches, wherever he even wanted, they use too many. Also, who's they? Use too many tiers crying about not getting in the playoffs. I just think that's very unprofessional because in that aspect, number one, I feel like they would use that as fuel, if anything. To me, they're furious and they're saying, because we lost our quarterback to an absolute tragedy towards the end of the season when it came to the way that everything went down and the way they were playing before that. And then you're going to say that because of that, we didn't get into the playoff when we didn't lose a football game last season. And now you're going to say because that upset us that it's going to make us worse?
Right. And had he used the bowl game against Georgia, like the 63-3 loss that they suffered because a lot of players didn't actually play in the game. But I at least would understand, their mindset was they kind of quit and because we didn't make the playoff, we don't want to play anymore.
Yeah.
That I feel like I would have understood if had he gone along those emotional lines too of they didn't care enough to put, they are putting the logo on, so they didn't care enough to go out and have a good performance. But at the end of the day, he didn't go with that. No. He went with, they lost the guts of their defense. I think their defense is really good along the defensive line and their secondary, I think, too. And so
all we've heard about is all they have is grown men on that side of the ball right now.
Yeah, it's a very interesting statement. And I'm glad you asked Matt Hayes about it yesterday. And I wanted people to actually hear it in case they hadn't heard it too. Because I do think that Florida State deserves to be a top 10 team. They'll let us know pretty early. Like we said, that game is in 10 days now.
Yeah.
As far as Florida State against Georgia Tech in Dublin, they'll let us know if they deserve to be. If Florida State is the program that we expect them to be, they win that game by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
If they're not and they either have a super close game or they lose the game, then we can reevaluate and say, okay, maybe Feinbaum was right.
Yeah, and that's a couple weeks ago we were having that conversation and I was like, this is such a year to find out where organizationally Florida State is, because we talk about you lose X amount of players in Alabama and Ohio State and Michigan, and it doesn't matter because they just refuel every single year. You don't see a big lapse no matter what's going on. And so Florida State, from what it's felt like Mike Norvell has started to build, is that they are that next college football team that is heading in that direction. He's been able to bring in the transfer portal players. He's been able to recruit really, really well. He's been able to do all of the things that successful college football teams can do. And so now this is the year to prove that. But to use, like I said, there's valid arguments if you want to argue that they may not be ranked or they may not make the playoff, wherever you want to go with that. But that is not a valid reason.
Yeah, there you have it. All right, Mia O'Brien has made her way to Tintin Excel headquarters. How was practice? The end of practice, I should say.
Well, let's begin with the vitriol. Can we start with that? I'd like to address the vitriol on the timeline right now. My goodness, Jaguar fans. And I know it's not all of you Heeligans listening right now, but the anger, the fury, it's back. We're 1 joint practice in. We're 16 practices into training camp. And man alive. Just wanted to get that out of the way.
About the offensive line?
know about everything, about how we do our jobs here, about the offensive line, about Trevor, about multimedia content creation and what's the best way to go about it. So just wanted to get that out of the way. Secondly, look, it's one practice, but yes, as John Shipley just tweeted, I had the Jaguars' first team offense giving up 3 sacks during team periods. He had them down for 6. I thought I had 6 over the course of the first, second, and third team if we want to. The offense with Mac Jones, the offense with C.J. Beathard, the offense with Trevor Lawrence. I had 6 across the board. He has it tracked. Of course, John Shipley of Sports Illustrated has it tracked as just the group with Trevor. Mm-hmm. There are concerns there. Those concerns, in my estimation, from watching practice today, did not emerge until team periods began, Lauren. During one-on-ones, I was not up there for one-on-ones because I was following the 7-on-7, but from what some of our colleagues from here at 1010 said, the only Tampa Bay Buccaneer who looked just simply unblockable was Vita Vea, and that would suggest logic. Cam Robinson, Anton Harrison, as both Rick Ballou and Hayes Carline have noted, looked awesome. And that's not to say they didn't look great in team periods, but for whatever the reason, and this wasn't against necessarily Vita Vea, Anthony Nielsen, who's a reserve edge rusher, defensive tackle, whatever you want to call him, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he had a would-be sack, including on that Brian Thomas Jr. epic grab, which, hey, credit to BTJ because he created separation. The throw was on time, but the argument is, would that have been a sack in the game? And so they did not go live. You're never going to see a quarterback get touched during a practice. But yes, I think people came out of this practice concerned. There are some positives, though, and I would love to also look at some of those positives, too, because I feel like when we watch both teams walk off, it wasn't a defeated Jaguars squad. It was one that said, okay, clearly
we learned some things.
We learned some things, but also there were some positives that could be taken away from it.
I think if you ever go into one practice, and albeit joint, but if you ever go into one practice and say, well, I automatically know things for the entire season based off of that.
We figured everything out.
Yeah. Several years ago, I want to say it was 2016, the Jaguars did joint practices against the Bucs, and the Bucs looked like the Jags had their number. And then it came to the actual regular season, the Jaguars team was not good at all. And so just keep it all in perspective. But I did watch some of the one-on-ones, and it was tough for the centers in Mitch Morse and Luke Fortner. It was obvious that the Bucs players were better than them. But at the same time, they know that that's not a real game. And maybe some people like Morse, like we saw Kirk had the day off, but maybe he's reserving a little bit of energy. Who knows? I'm not just going to say that they're trash and they're going to be terrible and the offensive line is going to once again have Trevor hurt 4 to 5 times this season.
So some good developments after you left practice to hold the fort down here with Taylor, Lauren. The Jaguars defense did look great in team periods. And yes, there were a couple completions for Baker Mayfield and company, but by far and large, that sticky coverage that we've seen throughout training camp was evident. Ronald Darby had a would-be pass breakup. Trayvon Walker had a would-be sack on that play. It actually forced Baker Mayfield to overthrow his target. The ball was tipped. Darnell Savage nearly with a pick. And so that's a positive development that you can take away. I think that there's a lot of interpretation of videos that are floating around because, we did have the ability as media to post some of the earlier periods. Which
normally we're not allowed to post a lot of that stuff,
right.
So that was fun.
Yep, that was a lot of fun. And again, we're glad we can share that with you, Duval. We are excited. We do this for you. And so I know there was a lot of debate about whether or not it was a pass breakup by Tyson Campbell over Mike Evans or not. At the end of the day, Tyson Campbell was sticky on him. Mm-hmm. And that is something when he wasn't healthy last year, that was an issue. Mm-hmm. So for me, I come away from this practice and Chris Richard was effusive in his praise for his DBs. And we've seen Lauren over the past 15 practices. He's not afraid to, call somebody out and get after it if they're not doing their job. He was effusive in his praise for all of the DBs, pretty much across the board. There were a couple of misreads here and there, I think, on the defensive front. But as Ryan Nielsen said this morning, you could make the argument with Christian Braswell with the would-be pick 6 Saturday night against the Chiefs. Yes, he slipped initially, but it's how you finish. And I think, and again, I don't want to speak for Ryan Nielsen and Chris Richard, but I think they'll come away from this practice on the defensive side of the ball and say, you know what? There was effort, there was concentration. They were there in the vicinity by far and large to make a play if they needed to.
A couple injury updates, Taylor. We talked about Juwan Taylor earlier, and it appears that he suffered a shoulder injury, but the team is not overly concerned at this time. So when you hear carted off, you think air cast, you think lower body injury and things like that. So I wanted to mention that. And then also Jenna Lane, who covers the Bucs, reported that Mike Evans did return to practice. We said earlier that he did leave practice with athletic trainers, but I wondered, Mia, if it was maybe a heat thing. You never know. It was certainly a warm one out there again today. And so hopefully no injury for him. You don't ever want to see anyone injured, obviously, at joint practices or in preseason games. You don't want to see him ever get injured, but you do know that that's coming at some point in time, not necessarily Mike Evans, but players in general. Mia, as far as the Trevor Lawrence overall outside of the sacks, I told Taylor I think he looked really good.
7-on-7, he looked sharp as all get out.
Yeah.
And I noted that in my quick hits, which will be out here as soon as I get a second to breathe. I thought in 7-on-7 he looked sharp. That, if you weren't at practice today, they had the Jaguars offense on one field against the Bucs defense and then the Bucs offense on the other field. So I was on the one watching the Jaguars defense against Baker Mayfield, and there were a lot more cheers from the fans in attendance on that field in response to Trevor Lawrence and the offense being successful than there were comparatively to the Bucs having success offensively or the Jaguars defense having success during that early period. And so, right out of the gate, they came in hot, Lauren. Connections to Parker Washington, connections to Evan Ingram, connections to BTJ. You mentioned that Christian Kirk did not practice today. I wonder if he had practiced. I feel like he would have caught a few.
Probably.
A lot of action for Parker Washington across the board, which was great to see. Seth Williams had a touchdown in 7-on-7 period. So, look.
That was from Mac?
I think it was from Trevor.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, during that portion of practice, it was from. There may have been another one that I missed, but that portion I'm pretty sure was from Trevor. I'd have to look at my notes, but yeah, I think the Jaguars offense came out firing. I think this practice will be remembered for those later team periods, which again, it's hot out. We don't know what's being called, what the team is trying to get done. If there's an emphasis on a certain aspect of the game and not another, we don't know that. But yeah, I think unfortunately, fans, Duval, you're going to come away and you're going to focus on that without focusing on the positives of the defense, translating what we've seen over 15 practices to a joint practice, as well as the offense looking sharp early on.
Oh, the roller coaster of being a fan. The very first few days of training camp practice, Trevor was terrible. Then you had Trevor having success. Brian Thomas Jr. didn't flash enough. Then he did flash. Finally, you get a preseason game, and lots of fans, they said tickets distributed around 61,000. There's probably 40, 50,000 people in the stands Saturday night. They left thrilled, but now there's another practice, and things don't go exactly according to plan, and now they're in the dumps again. It's just so fun to ride that roller coaster. All right, when we return, we'll keep it on Jaguars Bucs. Evan Klosky will join us from down in Tampa. He's the sports director at 10 Tampa Bay, so we'll continue the Jaguars discussion when we return. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
You know what we're talking about. You played the game.
I think he did when he should have zagged on that play.
1010XL, Jacksonville Sports Radio. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Mia here, and when I was buying a new construction home last summer, there was no question. Dream Finders Homes was the builder for me. A big reason why? Their unbeatable interest rates. Right now, take advantage of a 2.99% year one rate. Find your dream home, take advantage of unbeatable rates, and move in today. I'll say it again because a lender told me last year this is unheard of across the country. 2.99% year one. Dream Finders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Prosser here. Hey, pick a news source. But the reports are home prices are expected to decline in 2025, even after the election. So you need to maximize your home sales price now before this downturn, and you can do it with the agents proven to sell for top dollar, Chad and Sandy Newman. Hey, perhaps you're worried about selling for less money with a lowball out-of-state instant offer, or maybe you want maximum equity from your home, but you're not sure how. That's why you turn to Chad and Sandy, who have the answers. No required costly repairs. Chad and Sandy are the local real estate experts I trust and recommend for the sale of your home. Tony and Maggie at Jack's Golf and Country Club said, we recently had a job transfer and we needed to sell fast. With homes in our area struggling to sell inside 100 days, we didn't know what to do. Our worries were solved when we hired Chad and Sandy. Our home sold in 3 days for one of the highest prices ever in our neighborhood at over $1 million. Call the local experts we trust, 904-414-6200 or ChadAndDSandy.com.
Mia here, and it's the sale that's sweeping the nation. It's the national sales event, and it's going on now at Arlington Toyota. Why shop the national sales event at Arlington Toyota? 2 words for you. Huge selection. Arlington's lot is packed with new Toyotas in stock in one location. But you ask Mia, is now the right time to buy? Let me put your mind at ease thanks to Arlington's 60-day exchange program. That's 60 days to love your new purchase or exchange it for one that you do. Worried about financing? There's the Arlington Credit Helper. You even get a complimentary car wash with every service. And did I mention customers love Arlington? There's a 4.7 star rating and over 20,000 Google reviews online right now. I feel the love for sure, and you will too when you shop with our friends at Arlington Toyota. Don't wait. Now through September 3rd, shop the national sales event at Arlington Toyota. In person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
It's Helmets and Heels, Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday.
Veterans, did you know VA mortgage rates have plummeted and you can now access up to 100% of your home's equity and turn that into cash right now? Hey, it's Roger Moore, President and CEO of Loan Pronto, announcing our VA Equity Advantage program. This VA offer can get you $50,000, $70,000, $100,000 cash out with no junk fees and no hassle, with APRs in the 5s. You can pay off all those credit cards, personal loans, car loans, and get one easy-to-manage payment. Veterans we help save on average $850 per month. And listen, if you're a veteran with a current mortgage rate over 6.25%, we can do a streamlined refinance with no income verification and no appraisal, saving you hundreds a month. At Loan Pronto, we respect what you've done for our country, and we show it. Call now and ask about our special VA Equity Advantage program. 904-999-1508. 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com. 904-999-1508.
Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org.
Lauren Brooks here. Circa Resort and Casino has an incredible all-in package for Duval in December. For only $500 tax and resort fee included, get a 3-night stay at Circa, $200 food and beverage credit, plus a day bed at Stadium Swim. With 6 temperature-controlled pools and a massive screen, it's the world's largest hot tub party. Join us Heels Friday night for a Jacksonville pep rally with specials and giveaways. To book the Jacksonville game day getaway and join the Heels in Vegas, visit circalasvegas.com today.
Injured in an accident? Have mounting medical bills? Can't work? Don't worry. Zach's got your back. I'm Zach Von Rowan of Von Rowan Law. I will fight for the compensation that you deserve. Set up your free consultation at zachsgotyourback.com.
For a chance to win a family 4-pack of tickets to the Coke Zero Sugar 400 August 24th at Daytona, answer this question. Who won last year's Coke Zero Sugar 400? Text the driver's last name to 641-1010.
At the First Coast YMCA, you'll find much more than just a gym. We offer many ways to help you be active, reach weight loss goals, and find your inner strength while you connect with your community. Family memberships at the Y include unlimited group exercise classes, childcare while you work out, and youth sports participation. It's easy to join the Y and affordable for all. Plus, the Y is a great place to meet a new circle of friends. Visit the Y near you or online at fcymca.org.
1010XL Weekly is out now. Mia here, and text the word weekly to subscribe to our new 1010XL newsletter and for a chance to win Jaguars and concert tickets. Get an inside look at local sports, trending players, station info, and chances to win prizes all year long.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about letting things roll off of your back. So often we can make big deals out of things that are not really big deals. We can allow them to steal the joy of our day. But let me remind you that don't allow anyone or anything to steal the joy of today. Go out today not letting little things steal the big things that God has in store for you.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
For birthdays, anniversaries, or any situation that requires something really special, visit the Kuhn Flowers showroom on Beach Boulevard and select something that you can't find anywhere else. 1010XL's Andrew Gibson here, and that's the direction I head, Kuhn Flowers.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. The FSU Seminoles, a team that won 13-1 last season and won the ACC, is expected to keep that same drive this year and is ranked number 10 in the preseason AP Top 25 poll. However, college football guru Paul Feinbaum knocked them down, stating they'll finish unranked.
Florida State, first of all, they have no business being in the top 10. They have a difficult schedule, but I think they're going to get caught in the run-of-the-mill ACC game this year, which they did not encounter last year. And I think they also have a hangover. I think they used up too many tears crying about not getting in the playoffs, and that may slow them down a little bit this year.
The Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp take their opening game against the Memphis Redbirds 4-3 last night, with Shrimp Griffin Conine hitting a grand slam that helped secure the victory. Game 2 will be tonight with first pitch at 7:05. It's 89 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Always a pleasure to be joined by my good friend down in Tampa Town, Evan Klosky. He is the sports director at Channel 10 down in the Tampa Bay area. He is not, unfortunately, making the trip up here to Jacksonville for joint practices this week with the Bucs, but he has been in every other practice, I feel like, up until then, and so excited to get some insight on Todd Bowles' outfit. Evan, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me again.
Always appreciate you hopping on. Big picture, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of today's practice, what you've seen over the past 15 weeks by position group. But for this Tampa team, coming into 2023, where they finished in 2023, and now heading into 2024, how would you evaluate the expectations for the Buccaneers?
The expectations are fairly high for a team that I know coming off of last year, I should say, entering last year. Everyone was predicting them to be kind of, bottom of the standings, potentially high draft pick, taking a quarterback, so on and so forth. And then, they bring in Baker Mayfield. All of a sudden, they bring back essentially the whole band, re-signing everybody in the offseason. And this is probably one of the most boring camps I've covered, and I don't say that in a bad way. I say that in the sense that there's very little distractions. There's a calm demeanor about this group. It seems like they've been together for a long time because the core of them really have been. So they seem like they've been there and done that, which is pretty impressive for a team that kind of regrouped on the fly. So, even last year, we had to deal with the Devin White stuff kind of hanging in the background. Obviously, the years prior, there was Tom Brady and all that. And this year, they're kind of just going about their business. So I believe that this group thinks that they're a Super Bowl caliber team. Whether they're able to repeat what they did last year remains to be seen from the outside looking in. But inside, they certainly have the chemistry and sort of the fortitude to believe that, hey, we did what we did last year and we can build upon that.
Evan, I think that one of the conversations, obviously, Mike Evans gets an extension, rightfully so. He's one of, I think, in my opinion, not even talked about enough in the league. But Chris Godwin outside of that, and then those are the obvious 1, 2. Jalen McMillan, you guys drafted this year. How has McMillan looked so far this camp, this offseason, and is it looking like that's the solid 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, I mean, technically it's Jalen McMillan versus Trey Palmer, right, for the wide receiver 3 spot. But Jalen McMillan's going to be wide receiver 3. He's probably, if not number 1, number 2 as far as like training camp stars for the Buccaneers. I believe he didn't have the best practice today in Jacksonville. I know that he was held out a couple of days ago from practice, feeling a little sore after his first preseason game. But this dude's a stud. He could be the heir apparent for Chris Godwin if Godwin moves on in the offseason, if he can't reach another deal with the Buccaneers. And this is a guy who, the front office believes would have been drafted way higher if it wasn't for injury issues at Washington last season. If you remember a couple of seasons ago at Washington, he was north of 1,000 yards, pretty much their primary option. And then kind of this all-world team popped up with UW, and they had a lot of weapons there, and he kind of was relegated in his role. Certainly performed on the big stage once they got to the national semifinals and the championship, but Jalen McMillan is going to be a dude that I've been saying, as far as like fantasy football, like a low-cost dart he's willing to take, because if there is an injury between Chris or Mike, he's going to get a lot of targets. And I would imagine he's going to probably have a splash game here or there when coverage kind of shifts over to Mike and they need to find someone else. So, yeah, I'm pretty confident saying that Jalen McMillan's going to be wide receiver 3 for this team.
Evan, how do the one-on-ones go at Bucs practices as far as the offensive line versus the defensive line? Because we saw today the Bucs defensive line got the better of the majority of Jaguars offensive line. How does it go in Tampa?
Yeah, they haven't done it as much. I think there's a good tug of war between those battles. I think some days the offense has outperformed the defense and then vice versa. Usually that's sort of the way that Todd Bowles describes it is that's what you want during training camp, is you want this back and forth affair. I think that from the offensive line perspective, I think there's a lot of top tier talent, and maybe in the middle there, you're trying to bolster some depth. Meanwhile, I think with the defensive line, the Buccaneers have certainly their Vita Veas, their Kalijah Kants, these guys who are going to consistently win. And then when kind of you get to the outside linebacker position, it's more of a crapshoot. So that's why you kind of see this teeter-totter. And talking with some of the offensive linemen and the defensive linemen, it's funny because they talk about, hey, going up against the same guy, you start learning their moves, and then they adjust, and then you have to readjust to them. So I think that's part of the reason why I haven't really determined who's been kind of whooping one side or the other. There's been a nice little back and forth there.
You can find him on X at eKlosky, WTSP. Evan Klosky is our guest on the Garber Auto Mall hotline. Speaking of Vita Vea, Evan, a quick Google search tells me he turns 30 in February. However, I don't think he ages. It is, needless to say, impressive what he was able to do today in Jaguars practice and each and every year on a football field. But I'm curious, knowing that some of the other defensive linemen a little bit banged up, where does the pass rush have to come from for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Well, Vita Vea is going to be a big part of it. This offseason, he actually slimmed down. I don't know if you saw that. Todd Bowles made a joke earlier in training camp that he's starting to wear some crop tops because he's loving his body so much. He actually, in the offseason, worked out with Ndamukong Suh in Portland and really trimmed a lot of his weight. And the whole point of that was, A, he wants to play more snaps. B, he wants to actually get more sacks. He wants to be in the backfield a little bit more versus just being kind of this run stuffer who's going to eat up double teams. So Vita Vea is going to be a large part of what they do. And the pass rush, just like we've seen time and time again from this Buccaneers team ever since sort of like that Shaq Barrett 19.5 sack season since then, it's going to be by committee. Todd Bowles is going to fling a bunch of blitzes out there. He's going to try to schematically mess you up. They don't really have a go-to option as, hey, this man off the corner is going to get 10 sacks. We don't have to worry about him. We'll leave him on an island. Other teams have to worry about it, and we can scheme up other things. They don't have that, and it's their biggest weakness. So it's going to be, outside of Yaya Diaby, who was getting rave reviews. Remember I talked about Jalen McMillan, 1 or 2? Yaya was 1 or 2 as well. Those are the kind of the top 2 training camp stars, and they're expecting big things from him. But still, until I see it happen, I'm going to have to believe that they're just going to have to scheme up ways to get in the backfield. And you'll see Antoine Winfield Jr. back there, maybe a little bit of Tyke Smith out of Georgia, the rookie. They love what he can provide. So it's a little bit of a weakness, and I imagine that they'll be top 10 in sacks again. But what they give up on the back end is going to hurt them also in that process.
One of the things that we've talked about a decent amount, and even yesterday we had someone on, Evan, who kind of broke down the kickoffs with the new kickoff rule. And I know Devin Tompkins no longer there, but a guy like Bucky Irving, I feel like could fit well, a really good runner in college, obviously, with some experience in returning. Is that where it looks like things are kind of going in the kick return game for you guys?
Yeah, it looks like Bucky Irving's going to get that, especially because coming out of college, his calling card was he never lets the first guy get him down. So, and we've seen that burst from him in training camp thus far. He seems pretty solidified into that RB2 role. So having him as the kick returner plus RB2 kind of gets him the reps that you want, especially because as you guys know, the kickoff is now a football play. It legitimately is something where you feel like you need skill positions out there versus just waving your hand up in the air. So I think that I would be shocked if Bucky Irving wasn't the day one kick returner, and his elusive abilities, especially at his size, really stand out. And they kind of have a well-rounded backfield in general with Rashad White, who's bigger, certainly can catch the ball out of the backfield, great in pass pro. Bucky, not so much in pass pro, will be able to spell Rashad as a little bit of a scat back, also can catch the heck out of the ball. So, and not to mention with Liam Cohen and all the motions he's running, it's going to be we were actually fooled to believe that this offense was going to be very similar to what it was last year. And as training camp has progressed, we've kind of learned that it's not going to be what Dave Canales installed. It will have a foundational level of it, but it's way more complicated entering 2024.
That's certainly something we talk about here as well with the defense. As far as Baker Mayfield, you don't often see these days in the NFL a quarterback in his fourth stop all of a sudden be successful. How has he taken to Tampa Bay?
He loves it. He's actually selling his Texas home, and he's going to be a full-time Floridian. So he's somebody who's bought all the way into Tampa Bay. I know how appreciative he is with Jason Light and company, because he felt like when he came here, he was just able to be himself. And I think sort of in that dark day era of leaving Cleveland, going to Carolina, he lost a little bit of the fun, a little bit of the swagger that we all saw at Oklahoma. And he's tamed it down a little bit. He's grown up. But he, I think part of it was, A, getting back to having fun, B, having a system that really fit him and his style of play. And also, I mean, just having an organization that backs him. Even though there was the quote-unquote competition last year, we all knew that Baker Mayfield was going to be the QB1 entering that thing. And now that he's had success, I think he's starting to grow that confidence again. They're leaning into the things that he does really well. And now we're kind of seeing it come to fruition. I don't think he'll ever become like a top 10 QB in the league, but certainly being, I always kind of put him at like QB 13 to 18 in that range. And having a competent QB is part of the battle in the NFL, as many of us know. And it's certainly when you have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and some of the other pieces on this offense, you don't need someone to be extraordinary. Just get the ball into their hands and keep moving the chain.
As we wrap up with you, Evan, on the Garber Auto Mall hotline, I'm curious, as we look ahead to tomorrow's second joint practice between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Jacksonville Jaguars, give us one position group that perhaps we should be keeping an eye on, some position group or player that could flash, and one that folks down in Tampa Town have concerns about.
Yeah, well, certainly with the concern part, the secondary, I mean, I think we saw it all today from the videos I was seeing during practice. Trevor Lawrence was kind of dicing them up. And between Zion McCollum and Jamel Dean, after that, you're looking at a lot of depth, which is a big question mark. And not to mention, Zion McCollum, to me, he's like a huge part of his defense, and whether he's ready to kind of insert himself into that starting role. Without him progressing and getting better, Tampa Bay's defense is not going to be very good on the back end. So they are hoping for his progress. So I'm going to kind of make this a dual thing. Zion McCollum, I'm personally very high on, but he has to prove it. So watch out for Zion McCollum, considering the battles that they're going to have with Jacksonville tomorrow and what Trevor's going to do to them. And also watching that secondary as a whole, trying not to get diced up against the team, because that's probably the scariest thing that I think about if injuries start happening. What's going to happen to the back end of this team, and how much more can you put on Antoine Winfield Jr.'s plate to save the day, right?
Right.
Yes, exactly.
I have one more quick one, Evan, before we let you go, because the NFC South in general, I think, is very interesting. Obviously, the Falcons with Kirk Cousins and draft Michael Penix. The Panthers kind of sold their soul for Bryce Young. The Saints, who have Derek Carr, didn't really play out the way they wanted. They get a guy like Spencer Rattler in the draft. What is the outlook from the Bucs' view of the rest of the division? Like, this is the chance to win? Is that kind of the vibe down there right now?
Yeah, the vibe that I'm getting is, look, it's our division until someone tells us otherwise, right? Like, we're the ones that keep winning this thing. So until someone knocks us off, like, people should be scared about us, not the other way around. So that's the way that they're feeling about it, that, hey, we're the champs. We've been doing this for a while now, and the last time we didn't do it, we won the whole thing, right? So I think that they're still very confident in their abilities. I think, the Falcons probably posed the biggest threat, and a lot of that has to do with, A, the new coaching staff, and B, their schedule. But otherwise, I think that for the most part, they believe the division runs through them because it's been that way for a few years now.
Well, Evan, you'll be happy to know I charted Zion McCollum with not one but two pass breakups during the latter portion of practice today. So positive development for him. Evan Klosky, again, of 10 Tampa Bay. Thank you so much for joining us, as always, on the Garber Auto Mall hotline, my friend. We will talk to you soon.
I appreciate it. Anytime. Thank you so much.
And again, you can find Evan on X, posts a ton of great stuff. One of the best storytellers in the local television game nationally, not just in the state of Florida, nationally, at eKlosky. That's ECLOSKY WTSP on X.
Since the Rays are a game under 500, I was sparing the listening audience to
we're going to
ask
have to text him about the Rays. I know he's keeping tabs on them, too, so make sure you follow him on X.
Absolutely. All right, when we return, Mia's My Bookie picks come your way. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
This hour of Helmets and Heels is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers. It's like pulling up a chair at the cantina.
I see your point, sir.
XL Prime Time.
Well, come on.
Weekdays 2 to 4.
R2!
On 1010XL.
Mia O'Brien here, and trust me when I say I just left the practice field, and it is hot outside, which means your AC better be blowing nice and cold on the inside. If for any reason it's not, that's where my friends at Duck Duck Air Conditioning are here to help. Their qualified service techs can handle any type of cooling issue at your home or business. So don't deal with the summer heat outside and inside. Give Duck Duck AC a call today to schedule service. 904-862-6769 or online at duckduckac.com. Duck Duck AC is a licensed mechanical contractor.
Hacker here with a new opportunity for you. The 20-pound summer slim down with Awaken 180 weight loss. Dropping 20 pounds before summer ends, cruising to your goal of 30, 40, 50-plus pounds down. It's simple. You take the last few weeks of summer, eating, drinking, enjoying the weather, but the difference? You're doing it with the 20-pound summer slim down. But you say, Hack, summer's almost over. Well, that's the point. The pounds melt off fast with Awaken 180. I dropped my first 20 in less time, and that easy 20 propelled me to reach my goal of losing over 85 pounds. Think about it. You're about to slide back into the same old fall routine with the same old mindset. Mix it up. Live up the rest of your summer while dropping the first 20. Then jump into fall with a whole new groove. Yeah, I said it, and you'll be saying it too in just a few weeks. 20-pound summer slim down with the solution for weight loss. Online, awaken180weightloss.com.
It's Helmets and Heels, Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
David Garrard here. Playing in the NFL can put a lot of wear and tear on your body, especially your knees. Southeast Orthopedic Specialist has kept me mobile and ready to tackle every day.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
David Garrard here. I've had the PRP treatment from Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, and my knees are really doing well. Platelet-rich plasma treatment may be the answer for whatever is hurting you.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Mia here. Are you ready for the ultimate college football season? Using MyBookie Sportsbook and casino platform, you can bet on every game and win anytime, anywhere, straight from your mobile device, no app needed. Just sign up at MyBookie.com and you're ready to rock. Whether you're rooting for your alma mater or your favorite team, there's no better way to experience the season than having action on the games. When you know your team well, it's an easy way to take advantage of props like team win totals or early picks for playoff contention. Last year, MyBookie had some of the best odds on the market for the Wolverines to win the national championship, and Michigan bettors who backed their squad saw a 10 times return on their wager. These types of bets highlight why it's worth it to lay an investment before the season begins. Lock your futures in now while you're waiting for the season to begin and use promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus up to $1,000 on that first deposit. That's promo code 1010XL to start the season with house money. Don't ever miss out on the action. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie.
This is Keith Scott with Veterans Wholesale Cabinets. We are Northeast Florida's cabinet experts and your best option to elevate your home improvement project for both homeowners and contractors, and attention to detail to every project. VeteransWholesaleCabinets.com.
You're going to feel a puff of air.
Jong's Optometry has set their sights on staffing up.
Try the next line. Hey, Kim, can you tell our 2 o'clock we're running 15 behind? Sorry, we're a bit backed up today.
He needs an optometric technician to keep an eye on it all.
Where are the dilation drops?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Multi-unit hair grafting is now available at IHRS and can give you 3 times more hair in one procedure over a traditional hair transplant.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
You can grow your hair back with this exclusive new procedure. Call for a free evaluation. Call IHRS 904-777-IHRS 777-IHRS 777-4477.
See the world through the eyes of a linebacker.
I tell it like I see it, and I see it like a middle linebacker.
Tom McManus joins Jaguars Today every Friday morning.
Period.
Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
Roof damage? Call before you claim. Green Law Group, fighting insurance companies for you. They will work for you when you have roof damage. Don't let your insurance deny you. Don't call an adjuster. Call Green Law Group at 904-302-7055. Remember, if you have roof damage, call Green Law Group before you claim. They've settled millions and will work hard to get your claim and new roof. Green Law Group. Call before you claim. 904-302-7055.
Atlantic Self-Storage, the official storage partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Need to make room to watch football in your home or need a place to park your boat or RV? Store it all at Atlantic Self-Storage. Over 50 locations in Northeast Florida. 24-hour access, all with month-to-month leases. Moving? They can help with supplies. They make storage easy. Go to AtlanticSelfStorage.com or call 877-WE-STORE to find a storage solution near you. Go Jags!
Guys, feeling deflated in the bedroom? ED, low T, no energy? If your stuff is broken, call 904-STROKEN or 904stroken.com. No shots and the first treatment now free. Fix your ED at 904stroken.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Light up your lunch with Helmets and Heels.
Presented by First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
Appreciate Evan Klosky joining us again to talk Jaguars, Bucs, Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. All right, who sings this song? I like this one too.
I always forget, and I actually love this song.
RJ, do you see an artist?
Do what?
I didn't know if RJ could
called
see
Happier.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's like Marshmallow and Bastille.
There we go.
Yeah.
People always tell me they love our music, and so I've been forgetting to tell who the bands are for some of them unless I know. So I wanted to make sure that people can put this on their playlists. All right, time now for Mia's MyBookie pick.
Now, Mia's Midday MyBookie picks. Experience the Vegas thrill from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie.
Folks, we made it. We have NFL betting lines right now. Round of applause, RJ, on mybookie.ag. I understand it's preseason, but come on. Can't you just see and smell football in the air when you see these lines? Let's hit some of them. One Thursday night game this week. That is between the New England Patriots and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Patriots are 2.5-point favorites over the Birds. How do we feel about that one, ladies? I know it's preseason. Drake May got sacked like 6 times earlier this week.
Yeah.
They played in a monsoon last week.
Whoever sets the odds must know who is going to play and who's not going to play.
Cooper DeJean's back for Philly, so I'm going to take the Birds as a 2.5-point underdog in that one.
I tried to explain to some people that betting on the preseason, whether it's an over-under, whether it's a point total, is not the best way to go about it. It's fun, but it's not necessarily as smart as when you actually know who's going to be playing. That's the problem.
I feel like they must not like Kenny Pickett at all.
I mean, yes. And that's a big part of this, of course, is most teams are having joint practices this week, and thus that is where you say, okay, if the starters are already getting limited reps, and now you throw in, needless to say. I do think, sidebar, the Jags and the Bucs, could you argue the 2 best quarterback rooms in the National Football League? I'd put Cleveland probably up there as well, depending on what the nasty man looks like. But when I was watching, the idea of Mac Jones has been an NFL starter before. C.J. Beathard has played meaningful snaps. And I looked at Kyle Trask, who I know hasn't played a ton in the NFL. But then I look at John Wolford, who has played in a playoff game, and I'm like, you know what? If we're going to talk about backups who are late in the game in the fourth quarter affecting these spreads, I'm going to put my money on trusting these 2 groups of quarterbacks than I am compared to the Kenny Pickett's or some rookies out there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a Mac fan. I've said that. So we will see how he shifts my opinion as the season goes. I would have to go through and look at all the rest, honestly. But I do think there'd probably be ones that I would trust a little more just because I'm not a Mac or Flask fan. But
let's get to Saturday's slate. Your Chicago Bears, Taylor, are 6-point favorites against the Cincinnati Bengals. After what I saw last week, and even knowing that they have joint practices this week, Caleb Williams probably not going to play.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But at the same time, I think the vibes are high in Chicago. So I am going to ride with the Bears as 6-point favorites. How do you feel about that?
And secret agent Austin Reed, Brett Rippin.
Let's give the hometown kids some love. I love it.
He was all on Hard Knocks, by the way. I was saying Denny Thompson has to be ecstatic because it's like the Austin Reed show for half of 2 episodes, and I love it.
Our 2 highest totals of the weekend. Let's begin with the Raiders and the Cowboys at 39.5 is the total. I'd probably take the under, given both of those defenses. Even again, because of joint practices, you don't see the bulk of the starters. And the Texans and the Giants, also a 39.5-point total.
Texans and Giants.
Drew Lock didn't really impress last week.
No.
So I have some questions about them actually surpassing that 39.5 total. So I'd probably take the under in both of those games. And for those who are curious, your Jacksonville Jaguars favored again this week. 3-point favorites on MyBookie. The total is set at 37.5. Be sure to get in on the action by heading on over to mybookie.ag and press Sportsbook in the upper left-hand corner.
So your wrestler from Iowa,
Spencer Lee.
Yes. That was your MyBookie pick last week.
That was my lock. The match went to overtime.
Okay. I didn't know there was overtime in wrestling.
Yes, there's sudden death. And the rules
the whole thing seems like sudden death to me.
Much like FIBA, how there's different basketball rules and it's officiated a little differently. Ditto to Greco-Roman wrestling on an international stage. And so a questionable call is why Spencer got silver to the Japanese.
There was controversy with it.
Yes, there was controversy with it. So it was not without some controversy. The argument was, and I'm curious, because this, I think, speaks not just for wrestling, but sports at large. The argument was, wow, he had his first 3 matches, so I guess that would be preliminary, quarterfinal, semifinal, all in one day. And he rolled through them, won by tech in all 3 of them, outscored his opponent by 10, essentially, that means. Had to mercy them. And then we get to the gold medal match, and it's 2-2. And they go to sudden death, which is kind of weird. And so the argument was, should Spencer have been more aggressive? I don't think that really was the style of his opponent. And so I think he was trying to almost play too much to a strategy. But momentum is certainly a real thing. And so as much as I was like, man, I can't believe they're making him wrestle this many times in a single day. I feel like if they just wrestled the gold medal match in one day, maybe that would have changed the outcome. But
did the other wrestler that was in the gold medal match have to do all of that on the same day?
Yep,
okay.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, it's a disappointing outcome for old Spence, who of course most notably wrestled and won a national championship in college with not one but 2 torn ACLs. Excuses are for wusses. It is on a T-shirt. I own the T-shirt. And it's unfortunate, but when you consider the last time we saw him on a massive stage was at his final college championship, and it was only the 4th or 5th time he'd ever lost, and he came up that one loss shy of winning 4 national titles, and he only would have been the 6th wrestler in college wrestling history to do it. And you probably have seen the video of his mom breaking her glasses in frustration after it happened. And so for him to rebound, all the injuries he's overcome in his 6-year college career and now in his professional career, I know, I'm sorry that I failed you, my MyBookie friends, but did I not fail you wrong? He was plus 400 before other things happened, and he got to the gold medal match.
So the controversy, it was more so that he had to kind of stop and then have a break, and so he didn't get to continue his momentum, or he had to do too much in one day.
So my argument is, now in hindsight, I think he should have just wrestled all 4 matches in one day. The controversy was it was 2-2, and the quote-unquote takedown that the Japanese wrestler put on him was questionable.
Oh, okay.
Because it would not have been a takedown by American collegiate wrestling rules.
Gotcha.
But Spencer's been training for this. He has been wrestling internationally since he was 15 years old.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was disappointing, but yeah, at the same time, you got to be proud. I mean, the guy has torn his ACL 3 times. Like I don't between both legs. Like I don't know what to tell you. Has been through so much, and yeah, it was great to see him return to prominence. And now the question is he going to run it back for 2028?
That will be a question. All right, since we mentioned Jags Bucs, we've got a pair of tickets to go see the Jaguars play host to the Bucs Saturday night at Everbank Stadium. The game starts at 7:30. If you want to win those tickets, be call number 4 at 641-1010. Call number 4, 641-1010. We've got more to do in our final segment when we return on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Helmets and heels.
This hour is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers.
At Hodges Mazda, what Mazda moves you? Find out. Lauren Brooks here. Come test drive the Mazda CX-90, engineered to fit your lifestyle. Take advantage of 1.9% APR for up to 72 months on a 2024 Mazda CX-90, the largest 3-row SUV that Mazda offers. Our professional non-commissioned sales team always puts your best interest first, and you'll get 2 years free maintenance. Visit Hodges Mazda today or shop online at HodgesMazda.com to discover the Hodges Mazda difference. See dealer for details. Terms and fees for qualified applicants expire September 3rd, 2024.
Expert Automotive is ready to keep you cool this summer. Right now, get an AC inspection or a system cooling checkup. Your choice for only $19.99. Their gift to you this summer is $50 off any service and a free tire rotation with any service. Their ASE certified technicians can keep your car cool without breaking the bank this summer. Call them at 374-3373 to get an appointment today. Expert Automotive. They never sell greed, only what you need.
Daytona always brings the drama.
Everything's on the line. The risk will be higher.
3 wide.
Look how insane this is.
Gunning to keep playoff hopes alive. It's now or never.
It's the most stressful night of racing that you'll ever go through.
For an unforgettable weekend of family fun, high wattage star power, and a front row seat full of fireworks. NASCAR weekend at Daytona International Speedway, August 23rd and 24th. Get your tickets now at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
Helmets and heels.
Kingfish Pest Control Wednesday.
This right here is as good as it gets. This is life getting lived without obligations or complications. This is filling your cup and savoring the moment. This is the gift of presence, served to you in a place where there's room for everyone and enough to go around. And the best part, it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? You have questions? Call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700. Office is Jacksonville, Florida. And don't let the state decide your fate.
1010XL's running game takes a giant step forward.
Well, Fred Taylor is the whole package.
Fred Taylor joins Dan and Jeff on the drill. Monday morning running back with Fred Taylor is fueled by Epstein & Robbins DUI defense firm.
certainly facing challenging economic times. I can't speak for all of us, but for me, comforting to know my money is in good hands with ITP Partners. Ticket here for ITP Partners. Jacksonville guys taking care of my Jacksonville money. I'll admit it, I don't understand a ton about the economy, higher interest rates, 401ks, but I do know as I move closer to retirement, I continue to watch my money grow. Thanks to Chris Bryan, Jeff Hartman, Reagan Wright, Dan Abel, and Reed Wingate. Get in the game, guys. ITP Partners, always there to help. For more info, Chris at ITPPartners.com or call 904-312-9751.
This is Hayes Carline for Kingfish Pest Control, a local family-owned business that's been chosen as the exclusive pest control provider for the brand new state-of-the-art Miller Electric Performance Center. As a Kingfish customer myself, I know their effectiveness in keeping spiders, roaches, bugs, and termites out. When I trust them for my family and the Jags trust them for their business, then you can too. For the best service in town, call my friends at Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwoods. Clayton, you talk a lot about a diamond's cut grade. Why is a diamond graded for cut?
Frank, that's simple. We cut grade diamonds to show a measurement of beauty and light return to the person looking at the diamond so they can understand the value difference between a diamond cut for maximum beauty and one cut for maximum weight. Now, it gets a little more complicated when you find out that the American Gem Society Laboratory actually assigns performance grades and proportion grades using patented computer software and grades for polish and symmetry using a microscope. The end result of cut grading is a final grade that can go from a 0 or ideal to a 10, which is poor. Each of these grades are priced a little differently. That's why you can see a diamond with a fine color and clarity priced low, particularly on the internet, because a trained gemologist won't buy it for resale because of the poor cut. Unfortunately, these type deals aren't good deals. They're bad deals for the unknowing customer.
Underwoods in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
If you're looking for the best in indoor air quality, I've got the experts to call. Florida Home AC, the official AC provider of the Jaguars, specializing in the best air quality for your home or work with the Remy Halo. Instead of waiting for pollutants to travel through the ductwork to be neutralized, the Halo cell releases friendly oxidizers every time your fan blows air, helping those in your home that suffer from allergies and other respiratory issues. Call 777-4300 for Florida Home AC and start enjoying cool comfort and clean air.
When all you have is a hammer, everything is a nail. I'm Dr. George Bari, and like me, I know you have been bombarded with PRP and stem cell treatments from companies that promise the world and charge prices to match. Or the surgeon that convinced you the only way to treat your injuries through surgery. At Bari Orthopedics, we offer the best PRP treatment on the market with prices that won't cost you an arm and a leg. We also have the expertise to treat your injury surgically if that is what it entails. We can discuss all surgical and non-surgical options with you and make sure you get the best treatment available. Come see me, Dr. George Bari at Bari Orthopedics.
Hidden Hills Golf Club invites you to come out and experience one of the most beautiful and unique golf courses in North Florida. Affordable golf, friendly service, and great times in the Hills Grill after play. Book your tee time, hiddenhillsgc.com.
This is Dr. Steve Crenshaw, Assistant Team Physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
The Jags and Bucs will have their first joint practice today, and offensive coordinator Press Taylor spoke on what he can learn about the offense through this practice.
It amps up the competitiveness. It amps up kind of the unknown, which is the cool part. That's football for us. But I think for us too, as the offensive staff, there's a lot of things we want to see if they're good, see if we're good at these certain things. Maybe we need to see a new scheme to test some of them. We're trying to build tapes and learn about it and teach it for our guys as we get into this stuff. So there's a lot to learn. I really enjoy it. I think we get a lot out of it. And again, it's who you're working with and the environment they have on their staff and the way they work and what you're getting out of it. But I think it'll be a great experience.
The Jags will kick off against the Bucs this Saturday night for their second preseason game at 7:30. You can listen to the game live on 1010XL. I'm Molly McDonald with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
Posting today's quick hits driven by Arlington Toyota as we speak. And just to recap, and in looking back at my notes, props, if you're watching on YouTube on the MyBookie Digital Studio, reviewing some of the clips that have been put out there, discussing with Lauren and Taylor here. I think, unfortunately, much like the Jaguars' 2023 season, because it did not end as strong as you would like, I think Jaguar fans are in a panic right now. It is not how you start, however. It is how you finish. And there is still a whole nother day of practice. And so, yes, because the finish was not that pretty, we are forgetting the fact that Trevor Lawrence and company largely shredded the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to begin practice. Again, do I believe one-on-ones in the offensive and defensive line trench work is actually a simulation of the real game? It's a simulation. It's not the same thing. But early on, the Jaguars were getting the better of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's not to say they can't do the same thing tomorrow. Deep breaths. It's going to be okay. But yes, it did end a little bit ugly.
I will say, kind of rolling off of that I have been concerned, and I've talked about it since the beginning of the offseason around February, that I do still have concerns of the offensive line. It affected so many things last year when it comes to Trevor getting hurt, when it comes to the run game, when it came to the red zone, when it came to converting third and shorts, everything that factored into a lot of what happened late in the season. So I'm going to be concerned until I feel like there's consistently not a problem in real games. So I'm not in the full-on panic, go sign a bunch of people because we don't have the guys, but there is a slight concern because of how much the offensive line is going to affect. And Lauren, honestly, you said this at the top of the show. If there's one thing that you say needs to go right this year for things to look the way we want them to look, it's going to be the offensive line.
Yeah, it is a position group that struggled last season, and everyone knows that. Other than Anton Harrison, overall, that offensive line did not protect Trevor well, and they did not run the football well. And we know how important it is to be able to get those short yardage gains when your back's against a wall. Mm-hmm. And the passing game has looked really good. I don't think it's, though, reason to absolutely panic and absolutely freak out, because practices, we talked to Evan Kluski, and yes, sometimes the Bucs offensive line wins, sometimes the defensive line wins. Let's see tomorrow what happens. And look, I did watch Mitch Morrison those one-on-ones, and it didn't look like I expected it to. But I'm not here to tell you that that's what's going to happen week one against the Dolphins. And again, the Bucs defensive line is really good. But it's just like we talked about when Jaguars training camp practices started. When it's the Jaguars offense winning, everyone worries about the defense. When it's the defense winning, everyone worries about the offense.
Bingo.
Yeah, and so it's just like, relax. Again, Remember how good the preseason night felt, Saturday night, that first preseason game. Remember how that felt and how confident everyone was. One thing that, Mia, I feel like people can rely upon is Cam Little, the kicker. Mm-hmm. At least there's that. You know who the Bucs kicker is? Chase McLaughlin, who was here for a cup of coffee
and got cut.
And certainly did get cut.
And they have a punter battle going on. You have an all-pro in Logan Cook.
Yeah. You have that. And that's what I think, Lauren, the main thing with, and you kind of just alluded to this, when it comes to the offensive line, is the Jags offensive line was one of the worst in the league last year. I mean, when you look at PFF numbers, when you look at every statistical number when it comes to that, and they made one move. So that's why people are going to have to see more. So I think it's more so like they're going to think this way until they see in a real game whether it's changed or not.
This is why I love our Heeligans. You are a true reflection of what Duval is, not those crazy people on the internet. This is from up in the 912. Asked for the specifics of what I charted, what John Shipley of Sports Illustrated, Demetrius Harvey, Florida Times Union charted, and I sent that. For those of you who missed it, Shipley had Trevor Lawrence sacked 6 times.
Yep.
1 of 4 in the red zone. I had him with 2 throwaways. He was flushed from the pocket twice during team periods, and a tackle for loss on Travis Etienne. And as 912 notes, Trevor's throwing it away instead of throwing picks. And to Lauren's point, that's a field goal instead. And that at least can translate to points. Oh, and I forgot to mention a real positive, which I know there are those of you driving around right now who will be upset, but Tank Bigsby looked like the most improved player on the practice field again today. Yep. He was the most successful running back for either side, not just for the Jags, some of the Jags running backs. Bucs running backs really didn't have a whole heck of a lot of success either, but Tank Bigsby consistently hit the hole, consistently found daylight today. And I know there are those of you who will say, well, I need to see it in a regular season game first. I truly believe you will less than a month from right now.
Yeah, and I talked about that at the top of the show, how impressed I am with Tank, and he just continues to impress me throughout camp. And I wasn't on a daily show last year to hear all of the Tank talk, so this isn't me going back to last year. This is me truly just evaluating what I've been more involved in this offseason than I was last season. And Tank has impressed me. I think even in the preseason, there were moments where I was like, yep, that's what we've been hearing about Tank. So, yes, we want to see it transfer to a real game, but we are seeing it consistently throughout camp, him be the better back on the field throughout most of the camp, which is fun to watch.
Since we're on special teams, who do you think will be the two guys out there when it comes to kick returns? Do you think it'll be Devin Duvernay, Parker Washington? Do you think it'll be Duvernay, Tank Bigsby?
You're talking about week 1 against Miami.
Yes. Yeah, not Saturday night.
So actually, another bright spot that I just shared in my quick hits driven by Arlington Toyota, now available on the 1010XL social channels, was Elijah Cooks had the play of the day today. And we finally got that signature downfield, one-on-one, go up and make a play from the former San Jose State product and former undrafted free agent rookie. That was a reason that he made the 53-man roster last year. And so
from Mac Jones, right?
Yes, from Mac. He was with Josh Hayes in coverage. He was in the driver's seat. There was no question. And he is, in the driver's seat for that 6 wide receiver spot over Tim Jones, over Joshua Cephas. And I understand there's a lot of other things that have to get taken into consideration. But for me, over the last week, Elijah has created separation both on the field and in jockeying for position. To your question, Lauren, I say, all right, so now Parker and Elijah are your 5 and your 6 if Devin Duvernay is your 4th wide receiver. Probably only 5 of them will be active on game day.
Yeah.
With the camp that Parker Washington has had, are you really going to make him inactive?
Definitely not.
Does Keelan Robinson's injury perhaps factor into this?
Most likely. Because
now do you want to preserve Tank Bigsby? Because what's your plan in the run game? Do you want to see more of a 60-30-10 or more of a 70-20? I don't know what you want the carries to really look like between Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby, Dearness Johnson. But I think that plays a factor into who that other returner is opposite Duvernay, because I think both Parker and Tank have proved, even if Devin Duvernay wasn't here, they'd be a pretty darn good tandem together.
Yeah, I would have thought after the draft it would have been Devin Duvernay, and after free agency, obviously, Devin Duvernay and Keelan Robinson. But because Keelan's been hurt and because of what we've seen so far with other guys having success in the return game between Parker and Tank, now I'm starting to wonder who is going to be back there besides Devin. I don't know.
Yeah, that will be an interesting thing. And I think that when you look at it, I wouldn't be surprised if we are seeing Tank there because we just talked to Evan, and he's talking about how the Bucs using Bucky as RB2 and in their kick return too, just because of the way when we've talked about it, the space works for running backs in this new kick return. I think we'll see Duvernay in both. You can also obviously have 2 kick returners now in the new rule. So if Devin Duvernay is doing punt returning and kick returning, he can be the number 1 kick returner. And then we can also have Parker or Tank, and maybe that number 2 person out there kind of rotates depending what the Jags end up doing ultimately. But I do think we'll see a little bit of mix for the first few weeks of them trying to still figure it out in real game time. But you have options, and that's good.
That is certainly good. What, Mia, did our Eric Armstead have to say after practice?
Yeah, just stress the fact that he believes in this young group. It was beyond just, Trayvon and Josh combined for more than 25 sacks last year, and therefore I want to play with them. He stressed it was the entire operation. It was Trevor Lawrence. It was the signs of promise from the offense. It's some of those younger guys on defense, whether that's Tyson Campbell or Andre Sisco, that excited him as well, Foye Oluokun. And so, talked about why Jacksonville once again said that it's, to Sean Gibson, he noted he thinks is actually a little bit quieter than the last time he was in Jacksonville. He's mellowed out a little bit, and he recognizes, just like Gip, that he has a veteran role to play on this team and to be that mentor. And so that interview, the full press conference, is available on the Jaguars channels. Before we do go, ladies, I do want to hit that from elsewhere in the National Football League.
That just happened. Brought to you by Florida Home AC, the official air conditioning partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
J.J. McCarthy did undergo the meniscus surgery we told you about yesterday, and the doctors made the decision to do a full meniscus repair. He is out for the 2024 season. The Minnesota Vikings are Sam Darnold's team, per Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network.
That's, a bummer for them. I think most people were not expecting it to. We've had the conversation of if he is in at all, it'll be later in the season. But I do think it for them to have that option, like if things are just going absolutely awry or Sam gets hurt, that they having somebody like that has been kind of looking good in camp from what we've heard from most reports, not having him, that's a bummer.
Well, it certainly goes to speak to the amount of wear and tear on these guys' bodies when they play so much college football.
Yeah.
And it's why a lot of guys want to leave after their third year to be able to get into the NFL and not have as much tread on their tires. But JJ McCarthy, you wonder at what point did he realize that the meniscus was something that was going to affect him? And did he play with a bit of a messed up meniscus in the championship game? That I have no idea. Obviously, you would expect that this happened more recently, but then again, some people can play on those types of injuries for a long time. But it's certainly a bummer if you're Justin Jefferson. You went from a guy in Kirk Cousins who then had the Achilles, and certainly I'm assuming that JJ would like to play with, JJ McCarthy over Sam Darnold, just because Darnold's more of a career journeyman. But now that's who he's got as his quarterback.
Well, and I think also this is completely stunting his development, because now you're missing a whole entire season of time that you would have been practicing and sitting and learning. We've seen what it did to a guy like Trey Lance. Trey Lance dealt with all of those injuries early, and it felt like it kind of stunted his growth and development in the NFL. And that's not something you want to see this early on, because now it is a whole season of him. He's pretty much starting from scratch next year in year 2 of the NFL.
I did see Anthony Richardson sit down with, was it Kay Adams, I want to say, and he said it was a blessing in disguise to have had the injury last year that ended his season early, because he was able to sit and learn and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see if maybe this ends up being beneficial.
I was going to say, he did get some snaps at least, so he did get like the feel of what it was.
Right.
Like JJ's getting nothing. I mean,
besides one preseason game.
Yeah, I mean, let's see how Anthony fares this year, and then we'll know if sitting for most of the year actually did him some good. Taylor, I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't bring up that team in the NFC North that always sits their quarterbacks, and they always somehow seem to pan out.
Yeah, but again, not injury. That's like the point. Right. Like, he doesn't get to do anything. Like, you're going to see him barely practicing whenever after surgery.
Right.
Jordan Love's has been practicing for 3 years with Green Bay, and so he's got to learn the connection with the receivers and the tight ends that they were drafting. He got to work with Aaron Rodgers. I know Aaron Rodgers hasn't been the nicest when it came to that, but he was still actually physically learning from him. There's only going to be so much JJ's going to be able to do until he's healed and healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're back on the practice field tomorrow, and then post-practice we'll have whoever will be the starting quarterback for Saturday night.
Oh, what fun. What fun. We are also efforting getting a couple interviews with the Bucs. I believe Justin Barney of Channel 4 was able to get a hold of John Wolford. So hopefully they'll have that interview up. It was a last-minute decision. That's why we didn't have anybody there, and because I had to, run back here to be on the air. So that's why we didn't have anybody from 1010, but hopefully we'll be able to somehow maybe get some Johnny on the air, and some former Knowles, hopefully, maybe, ? I spoke with Bucs PR, so hopefully we'll get them on our program on Friday, because we are off tomorrow, Lauren.
Yes, we will be back on Friday from noon to 2 p.m. for sure.
Rightfully so.
And I did want to, before we get out of here, I did want to mention one thing. I said Joey Slackman yesterday from Penn State. He's from Penn. I knew it was the state of Pennsylvania, but either way, this is what you love to see, as I saw Zach Albaverdi tweeted this a little bit earlier today, as far as of course, if I can't find the tweet but
Florida Gators.
I'll find it in a second. And he said that Joey Slackman wears a Rambo headband, and he has smelling salts, and basically he's just kind of crazy. And so you love to see that for a defensive line.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I want to know
what ones when they look in the eyes, and it's just, you can see the craziness in there.
Right.
I want to know what Leon Searcy thinks of Rambo headband and smelling salts.
Now, the 2-minute drill, brought to you by Injury Care Centers. Discover BioTarget Regenerative Therapy, a safer drug-free solution for lasting pain relief. Visit GoBioTarget.com.
Now, here's the tweet, Leon, of Joey Slackman, who's expected to be an important piece for Florida. Rambo headband, face paint, smelling salts, cannonballs. That's what Graham Mertz said about Joey Slackman. But let's get to the Jaguars. What did you see from the offensive line?
I want to know about Rambo first. Tell us about Rambo.
I'm scared. I'm real scared. That's what it is. I'm scared. Is that a defensive lineman?
Yes,
of course it is.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
See, you can see him right there. He's got the Gatorade Rambo headband. He looks like a mean mother trucker.
He does.
Were the Jaguars' offensive linemen mean today?
At points and moments, they were tough at points and moments. They held their ground for the most part, but it was too much of going backwards to me in some occasions. The interior offensive line scares me a little bit. I just like to see them do better. That's all.
Yeah, especially, I think, Mitch Morse.
Yeah. Well, listen, let me just say this about Mitch Morse. Listen, Vita Vea is going to pick up a lot of people. All right?
Yeah.
He's going to bull rush a lot of people. Listen, when he walked out the building, I said, we don't have anybody to block him. He walked out the building. He's a big dude. Listen, I've always
and he slimmed down. We were told by Evan Kolosky he slimmed down, and Todd Bowles wants him in crop tops.
Apparently, the toes
Todd Bowles says he's wearing crop tops around the facility now.
Wow. Listen, I've had history with Samoans, and they are some big guys, and I never enjoyed blocking them.
Do you wear crop tops?
What are those? I have no idea what those are.
It's a shirt that instead of going all the way down
Zeke
to
wore
your
them a lot. Zeke wore like the kind of.
Apparently, Vita Vea is wearing those now because
Really?
he slimmed down
He
so
slimmed
much.
down?
Yeah.
Okay, no, I had too much belly for that.
The crazy eyes, does that make you think of James Harrison?
The crazy eyes.
Yeah.
Did he have crazy eyes, James
I
Harrison?
feel like I've never looked him in the eyes, but I feel
Well,
like
you know, it was a guy I used to play with against your Chicago Bears. You remember Alonzo Spellman?
Oh yeah.
He used to try to give me the crazy eyes when he walked to the line of scrimmage. Was not intimidated by it.
James Harrison, I would say, has the most intimidating neck of anyone on the planet.
I know that guy. He's still swole after years of playing football.
Wild.
But you see some of the stuff he's doing now. I mean, he's flipping tires and. He's got all kind of weights on and stuff.
Probably flipping trucks, too.
Yeah, he probably is. He needs to sit his butt down somewhere.
So as we get ready for XL Primetime, Leon, is it going to be an airing of grievances or is it going to be a breakdown of where things may have gone awry?
Yeah, because I saw some good, and I saw some bad, and I saw a little ugly. So I mean, we're gonna hit all
the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, it's that part right there.
Thank you, Leon. We'll
Appreciate
be listening.
it. Thank you. By the way, we got Tebow coming on.
Yes,
it's his
220.
birthday. Yes.
Oh, love that.
Yeah, we got Timmy T coming on.
Let's
go. So yeah, 220. Make sure you're listening all day long, but especially there at 220, they will have Tim Tebow on, former Florida Gator, Heisman-winning quarterback with 2 national championships as well. For Mia O'Brien, for Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. Don't go anywhere. XL Primetime is next. These heels are made for talking, and we will talk to you on a Feel Good Friday.